My job is to come up with ideas which are very dangerous for the company.
It took a year for me to get in front of some MB&F watches and to get in front of the namesake of the brand, Max Büsser. It just worked out that I happened to be on vacation in Geneva, which was in no way a suggestion to my family. I mean, what kind of person would pick a family vacation based on watch manufacturers? It's just a coincidence that Geneva is where MB&F is headquartered in its M.A.D house. M.A.D stands for Mechanical Art Devices, which is a pretty perfect description for what Max and friends do. Not just watches, but sculptures and clocks, pens, music boxes. But you know me, I was there for watches and for espresso. I toured the M.A.D house, I talked with the really great people there, and I sat down with Max to chat about his company, but also about the watch community and the industry and collecting. I'll probably put up a longer version of the full interview with Max in another video, but this one is just going to include snippets which are relevant to the conversation. So MB&F, Max Büsser and Friends, it's been around for 18 years. Right before that, Max was head of watches at Harry Winston, and before that he was at Jaeger-LeCoultre. And the M.A.D house is a kind of slightly Tudor-inspired Swiss chalet building that was built in the early 1900s. It's beautiful, and it's kind of a fitting headquarters for the brand. It respects the craftsmanship and engineering of the past, but with modern uses and modern adornments. Kind of like how MB&F is with watchmaking. Kind of, but clearly MB&F's designs are very modern. Maybe more than modern, maybe futuristic. Too futuristic for some, and I think that's been both a challenge and a kind of point of pride for the brand.
When HM6 came out, the Space Pirate, that's 2014, it's the beginning of Instagram starting to really get some traction. And I had line after line of fugly. And I got really depressed. And it was Serge, my partner in the company, our technical director, who said, Max, if we don't get a minimum of fuglies, we're doing something really wrong. If everybody loves it, it's vanilla ice cream. And we're not here to create vanilla ice cream.
Now, I love vanilla ice cream, but I get it and I really respect the idea. And I try to do the same thing with these videos. It's something that won't appeal to everyone, or in my case, won't appeal to anyone. And what potentially fugly watches did I get to play with at the M.A.D house? MB&F's communications director, Harris, left me alone in a room with nearly $1 million worth of watches, and not just expensive watches, but weird, fun expensive watches, and weird and fun, that's my happy place. The newest watch, which I'm allowed to show you here, is the HM8 Mark II. You can divide MB&F watches into HM and LM. HM stands for horological machines, like this, and they are watches which a person looking at might not even know is a watch. And then there's the LM, the legacy machines. They're a little more traditional, which is to say, not really traditional at all. The HM8 Mark II is about $85,000 and comes in either green or white, though this green limited edition is sold out. The green part is made of a new material called carbon macrolon, which is a polycarbonate resin enforced with carbon nanotubes, which are like normal tubes but are nanoer. And the design is inspired by automotive design, and I see it. This thing looks fast. And then there's the legacy machine SE Evo. This is what is more traditional by MB&F standards, so yeah, not. The Evo watches have real water resistance, 80 meters in this case, and this has a grade 5 titanium case and a rubber strap. It's 44 millimeters wide and 17 millimeters thick with the signature MB&F sapphire dome. This watch is water resistant and shock resistant, but I felt nervous just breathing on it. I know it can handle a lot, but at $100,000, I think it's me who's the fragile one here. This watch uses something MB&F calls a split escapement, which was created by Stephen McDonald. The splitness of it is that the balance is on one side of the dial, the front, while the escapement wheel and the pallet fork are on the other side, the back of the dial. The split escapement is used in several MB&F watches, and it gives the dial a very simple, clean look. I'm not sure that there's any other function to this escapement system other than it looks cool, and you know what? That's fine. The HM10 Bulldog, look at this thing. This titanium reference lists for about $143,000, or it did when you could get one. Time has read through the eyes of the Bulldog, pretty sure that these are eyes. And there's more anatomy, there's legs, and there's also a mouth. And it's this jaw which acts as the power reserve indicator. As you wind the watch and add power to the reserve, the Bulldog's jaw opens slowly. The Bulldog is not the most subtle watch on the wrist, but it's not supposed to be. I guess if you want a more subtle watch, you can choose the Salmon Perpetual Calendar. I find this thing breathtaking in appearance. The $200,000 price tag will also take your breath away, but it's the design that I find most impressive. It's in a stainless steel case that again is 44 millimeters across and 17.5 millimeters thick. Power reserve indicator at 4:30, leap year indicator at 7:30, the rest you can figure out on your own. And there's independent pushers for each of the registers, which could be really useful if this runs down. In 2016, this won the GPHG award for Best Calendar Watch. It's kind of like the Oscars of Swiss watchmaking. And this watch won the Aiguille d'Or prize in 2022. This is the LM Sequential Evo, and it's MB&F's first chronograph. This thing is hot. I love this watch. At $200,000, it's a little out of my price range, but is owning a home really benefiting me in any way? I mean, think about it. This chronograph movement was also designed by Stephen McDonnell, and it's very interesting. There are 2 chronographs in one watch. The largest registers are the seconds hand for each chronograph, and each chronograph can be operated independently with pushers on each side of the zirconium case. That's pretty cool on its own. You can time 2 things separately with a single watch. But the chronographs can also interact with each other using the pusher at 9 o'clock. This is what MB&F calls the twinverter. Pushing this button basically inverts the state of the chronographs. If one chronograph is running, the twinverter button stops the one and starts the other. If neither are running, the button starts both. If both are running, the button stops both. All this means that the watch can act as a split seconds chronograph for timing splits, but in a much more interesting and legible way in my twinverted opinion. There are a lot of interesting timing capabilities with this watch, stuff that maybe has never been possible with a mechanical watch before. And I know I can't have it, but I want it. But maybe there is a Max Büsser watch that I can get. A few years ago, MB&F created a watch that could actually be bought by the friends and colleagues that work with the brand. The M.A.D Edition 1 was sold at cost at about $2,000 and only sold to people connected to MB&F somehow. But of course, the larger watch community got word of this and demanded a watch for public sale. So the M.A.D Edition 1 Red was born. This watch was just under $3,000. It was designed by Max and definitely is MB&F-ish, but not an MB&F watch. But it's weird and it's fun, and so I think its heritage is clear. And that's the point.
Everybody knows that when you're a high-end brand, at that price point in artisan hand-finished movements, you should never go and do a volume piece at that low price point. I mean, it's complete suicide, but still I do it. Now, my job is to come up with ideas which are very dangerous for the company. And if they're dangerous and they're creatively interesting and they explore something that we've never done, I feel alive.
What they now have to deal with is a balancing act. Even though this is not an MB&F watch, how do they avoid diluting the MB&F brand while maintaining that Max Büsser connection? And this is a machine finish Miyota movement watch. It's cool, but it ain't luxury. Max and company need to make sure that people don't expect that a M.A.D watch is an MB&F watch. This is a watch for collectors who can't drop $100,000 on a legacy machine. And I wanted to ask Max about collecting and the watch community. I think he's seen a lot over the last 30 years. What's something you'd like to see 10 times more in the watch community? And what's something that you'd like to see just a tenth of? I would like to see much more knowledge and much less status. I would like to have 10 times more knowledge from people who actually buy watches. Real collectors usually know what they're buying and they do their research, but today I think 9 out of 10 expensive watch buyers
clueless to what they buy, and they buy what's trendy or makes you look wealthy. And sometimes they buy incredible products, but they don't even realize it. And others, they buy products which are just too expensive what they are. So more knowledge, less status would be cool.
What was the last watch you bought for yourself?
I've bought a lot of watches this year. My last, I'll show it to you. It's a Seiko Frequency of the early 90s, which was only sold in Japan, which was a fully transparent digital LCD watch with a beat master system, which was done for DJs. And you press a button and it goes, doof, 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 and you can actually increase the beat or go or lower it. I thought that was so incredible.
Okay, you have $5,000 and you need to build a 3-watch collection. Go.
For sure, I'd take a Seiko 5, a sports of the 70s. They're so cool. An Omega Dynamic. They're incredible. With an integrated steel bracelet or with a blue and white silver dial. You can get them for $500. Incredible watches. I would go for a 70s Speedmaster. So you're going to go for a 70s Flightmaster, maybe an Omega Flightmaster. That's really cool. But again, I love quirky, different pieces. I'm not a super classic guy. That would probably be for the moment, my 3-watch collection. But of course, anything I make would go into the next watch. Because that's when you're a watch collector.
Yeah, I think Max gets it. And I think everyone I met at MB&F gets it. They are watch nerds. They are my people, our people. And they're trying to do something different, and I don't know if most people like these watches or think they're fugly, but either way, I think there's something cool about a brand that has a stated goal of being weird and of inspiring people, inspiring them to rob a bank maybe, but more importantly, inspire them philosophically.
Now, watchmaking is our life. It's what's built me, it's what's made my heart tick. I owe everything to watchmaking. But the why of MB&F was not about watchmaking. We want to inspire people to think differently. If you see what we've managed to do with virtually no funds in the last 18 years, look what we've managed to do. And there were some really tough years, but we're here. Maybe you, in your world, whatever it is, you could do the same thing. So inspire people to think differently, to take more risks, to be more creative. That's the why of the company today.